all of the Orlando Pride Olympians do quite well and advance. And Orlando City, talk a little bit about the results and how the team looked this past week.
Yeah, so 3-1 loss to Seattle, quite the turnaround from the 3-1 victory they had the week before. And, a lot of people could tell that the team looked a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued. The energy was a little low on the field. There seemed to be some confusion at times, miscommunications, things like that. But those were all things that head coach Jason Kreis addressed immediately after the match, things that he saw and he wasn't pleased with, and said that he's going to take the responsibility for that as a coach, and spoke with his coaching staff to find out, what exactly they could have done differently to make sure that the team has a little bit more energy, despite pushing really hard in training to implement all his new tactics and philosophies that he wants to implement and get the team at a fitness level that he thinks is worthy of a playoff push. So he's been working them really hard, teaching them a lot of new things, trying to implement a lot of new things. And he said the game and the performance on Sunday kind of showed him that it may have taken its toll on the team.
All right, well, you knew it was going to be a building process. Certainly people got excited about that first victory, but it doesn't seem like you can completely discount it after one loss. It's kind of the ups and downs of that transition.
Right.
So this is a Twitter Q&A show. We're very excited to be taking your questions sent to us via @OSLions. We're also streaming this on Facebook Live, and you can ask questions there. We'll be happy to take those throughout the show. We asked for the questions in advance, but we are also going to take a couple of stoppage time questions late in the show. So get those in now as you react to the things we've already talked about. One thing I wanted to touch on, we talked about Orlando today. I wanted to get back a little bit to Orlando Pride. I don't think we got a ton of questions this week because they were idle, but obviously a big developmental period for the Pride. You spent some time talking with Coach Tom Sermani. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you learned from him and where the Pride are at right now?
Yeah, so I spoke with Tom a little bit for about an hour this morning just to kind of touch base, see where he's at, see how his feelings are now that they're well into the season. They only have a few games left. They're trying to make a playoff push right now. Top 4 teams in NWSL make it to the playoffs. I believe they are in 7th place right now, but they're also tied in points with like 5 different teams. So there's an opportunity there. He said that he thinks that this their upcoming game, their last game as well, that they lost, he thought was a crucial game, but this one upcoming even more so. He says they need to go on a run. If they can, they've been kind of win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win 2 games, lose 2 games, and he said he really needs the team to step up, get on a run, get hot, win a few games in a row if they want to make it to the playoffs. He is very adamant that he's going to do whatever it takes to make the best team possible. He's happy with the progress that they've made this season. His goal was to be a competitive team, which they certainly have been. He wants to turn that team into a winning changes or trade. When the trade window closes, then he said that's something he'll look into.
Okay, so quite a bit of information there. The Pride could be looking to make some transactions. That's an interesting difference from where they were at early in the season, really looking to develop the core talent that was on the team, now looking to make sure that they have the reserves needed to really push them forward. Some of the key areas, let's take a step back from what Tom had said. You and I have both had a chance to watch them. It seems like got some quality strikers, but maybe aren't always getting the ball in position to them. The defense at times has, had some challenges, but I think their core defenders obviously are all Olympians, so they're going to get that talent back.
Yeah.
They've got strength at the defense. Midfielders, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I think someone, definitely midfielders who can be creative and create more chances than they have been recently. And I think, Tom mentioned he's still looking for someone who can score regularly and take a little pressure off Alex. So you've seen some of that with Jasmine Spencer, but he said he really wants someone that can do that on a regular basis and that can take a little bit of the heat off of Alex and some of the pressure off of her as well. So creative players, maybe another goal scorer, to kind of really be aggressive towards the end of the season.
So maybe a younger version of Leanne Sanderson. We'll see what we get down the road. It'll be very interesting. I know that they've been extremely happy with the way the young players have committed to development. But you're also looking at really the breakout players of the Olympic break have really been Kristen Edmonds and Jasmine Spencer. But when you start to look at who else, it's not a long list.
And Tom said he's not really a huge fan of the trade system in the United States. He believes in when you make a commitment to a player, you make that commitment and you give them the time that they need to develop. But he does feel that he also needs to work within this system and use it to his advantage, and that he feels he's given the players time now to show what they have and what they can contribute to the team. So he feels like he's given everyone an opportunity. Everybody has seen playing time, and he can make some decisions if he needs to.
All right, very interesting. So if you've got more questions about the Orlando Pride, be sure to keep following us at OS Lions. Keep following Alicia DelGallo, and also feel free to send us more questions for the Twitter Q&A. We're happy to answer them. Even during the Olympic break, there's still some interesting developments with this team that very much considers itself still in the playoff mix.
Yep,
very good.
Definitely.
All right, so let's switch to the questions we did get via @OS Lions, our Twitter Q&A. First up, just thank you all for sending these questions in every week. Huge for us. Jason JJ Jose @Jason_Jose. What does the partnership between Stoke City and Benfica consist of? Games, players, etc. These are pretty interesting things. I don't know that they've always been very clear what exactly they were going to extend to. What have you seen so far?
So basically what I've seen in this, they kind of laid out and made it a little more clear after their Stoke City partnership was made official, but the partnership with Benfica has been in place for longer than the Stoke City one, which was announced earlier this season. And basically they use it as a way to promote each other in each other's countries, to build fan base worldwide. They also use it as a way to help with recruiting and bringing players in, whether that's bringing players from those specific teams in, or just discussing with the recruiters with Stoke City and Benfica the players that they see when they go out and they look at players in Europe and in other areas, and they can come and they can kind of talk to the coaching staff and the recruiters with Orlando City about potential American players and MLS players that might be good fits for them as well. So it's a little bit it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of promotion, building fan base worldwide, player acquisitions and sharing players, and also, as we saw, the Stoke City friendly that they played 2 weeks ago. So, building word of mouth, building buzz, things like that.
I think it's pretty early in the partnership. I know Benfica, the partnership has been around a little longer. We've seen some trial lists that have come through and some different people who've had opportunities. If you're looking for a tangible what specifically on the pitch am I getting, it seems the friendlies are the biggest part of it, but it seems like Orlando City feels good about having these partnerships, these relationships to continue to build the base. They are still trying to go very quickly from not having soccer in Orlando to playing at the highest possible level. So it's a big shift, and anytime you can bring in clubs that have these huge resources, it doesn't hurt.
Exactly.
All right, next question.
I think we have a few from him.
Okay, Jason JJ Jose, again, thank you so much for sending @Jason_Jose. Why have we not seen Aja play? Garcia was just traded to OC and has had playing time in the first game.
Right. So Aja did play in the Stoke City friendly. He subbed on, I believe it was the 46th minute for David Mateos. So he saw some playing time then. And Jason Kreis made it clear that he made decisions based on what he saw that week in training and in the Stoke City game. So what he saw from Aja, I'm assuming, was not enough to take over a spot from the current starters, which are David Mateos, Seb Hines, Tommy Redding when he's healthy, which he's getting closer to being healthy, and we'll touch on that later. But yeah, so he just didn't see that yet. But I spoke with him about Aja today, and he said that he's a very interesting player. He has a lot of qualities that he does like, and now it's just seeing if those qualities translate into matches. So he's going to be looking for opportunities to get him playing time, whether it's with Orlando City or Orlando City B, so that he can see what Aja brings to matches and get a good assessment in the offseason of what to do with him.
Strikes me as though they're a little more conservative with making sure their defense is strong versus other parts of the field necessarily being able to take a few more risks. But it'll be interesting to see as it comes along. All right, next question. I think we had several, like you said. Jason JJ Jose @Jason_Jose. Even though Kreis came in after Aja, is Aja a Kreis guy, or is he not? And is that why we haven't seen him play? So does he fit his system?
He does. So here's the thing with Aja. He was a trialist with the team, and it was a decision made to bring him in before Christ was brought in. So Aja was with the team training for a few weeks before Christ's hiring was announced, but he wasn't officially signed until 2 days after Christ got here. So I think that there could have been some wiggle room if Christ just absolutely didn't want him on the team. He could have made that call. But it was something that was already very far along in the process of signing him when Christ did come in. But I don't think Christ is entering this job in this situation with that mentality, like he's not my guy, so he's not playing. I think he's very much giving everyone a fair shot and carefully assessing everyone to see how they can contribute and deciding from there.
I would also point out that the player who came in immediately came from an MLS team.
Yeah.
So there's that transition as well that makes it much easier.
Right.
It's a different kind of adjustment period
and
coming from one MLS team to another.
It's also a position where Garcia is coming in that's been seen a lot of inconsistency and a lot of movement in the lineup throughout the season. So him coming in with the experience that he has and the skill set that he has, someone who Christ has described could back up Kaká when he's not in. I think getting him up to speed really quickly is crucial, especially with all the injuries that Kaká has had. So if they want someone that can back up Kaká, and Garcia's that guy, it seems, they need him to be match fit at any time and as soon as possible because Kaká's missed half the games this year.
Right. All right, next question we have up from, again, Jason JJ Jose. Did Christ take a jab at Heath at news conference after game?
Yes. Not yes. I don't think so. But this is a question I've seen a lot in any player comments about the new training regimen and any comments Christ makes about the players. I don't think that you should look at these comments that they're making about current situations and think that they're trying to say anything bad about Heath. I think they're just trying to say things are new and things are different, and not necessarily that they were bad before, but that they're different now. So I think it could go either way. I think that maybe, say Christ was the coach in the beginning of the season and he trains a certain way and he asks certain things of the players, and then Heath were to come in and he asks a whole different set of things from the players, you might see the same type of lag, energy draining, things like that. So I don't think anyone's actively trying to put down the previous era of Orlando City.
All direct questions regarding Adrian Heath have been extremely respectful. I happened to be there at training the day after Adrian released his open letter to fans and to the community, thanking them for their support. At the time, new coach just said, look, I respect him. I respect everything it took to build this franchise, to build us into this position, and I will never say anything negative about him because I really feel strongly that he did some amazing things here in Orlando. Mm-hmm. So that was a fairly definitive, very clear statement when asked directly about it. I think you see this way. I would caution not to read too much into it. And every time there's a new coach in any sport, it's always like, oh my God, the conditioning was amazing. It's so different. And can that really be true across the sport, every single place? We've got a lot of new coaches in different areas. I guarantee you will hear this about the Orlando Magic. Mm-hmm. I know you've heard this out at UCF. I'm sure you'll hear this at other places. This is the way that it usually goes when there's a coaching change.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Next question. All right, OCSC blog. When will the team give Aja or Donovan a chance over either Mateos or Hines? Why did we trade Aurelian Collin again? AMP C2.
Oh, they're still heartbroken over Aurelian.
Well, I mean,
that's nice.
There were challenges.
And you know what? Aurelian still is paying attention to Orlando City because he retweets stories of mine a lot and likes things. So he very much still loves Orlando City, I can tell. But traded him because at the time, Tommy Redding, if we all don't remember, need a reminder, Tommy Redding was playing very well. Collin had a high salary sitting on the bench and wasn't being used. So at the time, it was the right move to make. Now, I think that Tommy has been injured, and that's kind of contributed to a little bit of the questions about defense and some of the confusion. And then you saw Rafa, Ramos go down as well. So you saw a little bit of a breakup in this back line that had been working together in the beginning of the season. Hines, I don't understand why some of the criticism he gets. I know there are some mistakes, but everyone makes some mistakes. But I mean, you gave him a nickname, Headmaster Hines, like Seb's head is a big part of the success of the back line and could cause corner kicks and things like that. So, personally, I like Seb's starting lineup, and Mateos has been in place of Redding while he's been injured, and I think you might see, he's suspended this week, so you definitely won't see him. But when Redding gets healthy, I think you'll see Redding back in there before you see Aja or Donovan.
All right, very interesting. Next question we have from McMarston at Muck_Marston. Any new updates on Ribeiro or Ramos? So we're starting to get those injury questions.
Yeah. Okay. So Pedro Ribeiro, Christ said he's still struggling a little bit to come back from his injury. If you don't remember, he had some back issues earlier in the season, early May, he underwent back surgery to address a disc issue that he was having and wasn't expected to come back until maybe the last month of the season. So he has been looking like he's on an earlier track than that. But Christ said that he's still struggling a little bit. He needs at least, he's on like a 3-week plan now, and he expects him to do at least 2 more weeks of really intense rehab before he attempts to come back out training with the team and get back on the field. And as for Rafa Ramos, he's had hamstring issues all season, suffered his 3rd one in the U.S. Open Cup match against Fort Lauderdale Strikers and hasn't been back since. He did half a session of training with them today and expects to be back maybe full-time tomorrow, and Christ said he's hopeful that Rafa could be available this weekend.
Very interesting. All right, next question we have from Orlando City SC Brazil. Missed you, glad to hear from you. At Blog Orlando City, chances of Perez Garcia starting?
I think he still needs a little more time working with the team and getting used to the system and the players, but Christ did say that he thought he had instant chemistry with Kyle Larin and Kaká, so that's a really good sign. I think there's a better chance of him starting if Molino isn't ready to go this weekend. They're hoping that he is. He was outside at training today, but not physically training with the team. We expect him to be back training with the team tomorrow, possibly. And again, there's a chance. They're hopeful that Molino might be better for this weekend, but if he's not, then I think that might be when you see a chance that Garcia might be out there.
All right, next question. We have from Nick Baggio, NY10515. Beating a dead horse, when will Redding and Ramos return, and will we ever see Aja on the pitch? So again, slightly different. You talked about all the others except for Redding. Where is he at in his development?
He's been training in full. He was training in full today. I think he was the closest to returning last week, and he actually played with OCB, I think like 60 minutes on Saturday to get back match fitness. So I would expect of all of them that he's the closest, and he should be available this weekend. Christ did mention Redding, Ramos, and Molino all in one paragraph, saying that he's hopeful that all of them will be ready for this weekend, but I think Redding is the most likely of those 3. And Aja, we addressed to death.
So we're all set there. Well, that's a big addition, though. Just the possibility of having Redding. Huge for the defense. Big break for the team if that's possible. All right, next question we have from Beards, Kyle Mirdo. Any update on Molino if he will be available for training this week and the game this weekend? So we touched on Kevin. We touched a little bit about it, but let's talk about why he's so important and what that means if he's in the lineup or not.
And just to let you guys know, we have a story with all of this information coming out tomorrow, and it'll be online later today on OrlandoSentinel.com. But Kevin Molino was ruled out the day before the match on Saturday. He had a hamstring tweak or a little soreness in his hamstring, and they decided to hold him out of the game and not have him play. So it was minor. They're hoping he's available this week. If not this week, definitely next week. But reminder that the week before, Molino had 2 goals and an assist in that 3-1 victory. He's huge for the team just in terms of energy, attacking. Christ did say that he's been talking to him because he wants him to work a little more on his defensive skills when they don't have the ball. But he's very happy with Molino's performance when they do have the ball. He has been huge for them. Other than Kyle Larin, he scored the most goals. Creative, talented, really gives them a boost on the wing.
All right, so has had injury issues in the past, obviously, so they're still going to be conservative with him, but it sounds like it's promising for this weekend. Next question. We have Mike Paz at Mike J. Paz. I don't want you to feel like we're not as excited. Yay, Mike! All right. Due to the lack of attendance at OCB home games, will the club play their home games in Orlando next year? So the reason they set up there in part, or we're looking for an outlying area, is because they don't want to go head-to-head with Orlando City in terms of attendance and in terms of just taking away from the Lions audience. But what are you hearing? Is there going to be a change to that?
I hear that they have no idea yet. They had a 1-year contract over in Melbourne, so they're looking at different OCB because 3 teams on one field, a grass field, is just way too much. So you'll have the Orlando Pride and Orlando City playing in the new stadium. There is an option, I think, that has been discussed about OCB possibly playing on the new fields at Lake Nona that they're building, the new training fields next year, but it's all up in the air right now. No decisions have been made, and I don't think, attendance at OCB games is something that they're super worried about or that they would make, this decision based on that.
Very good. All right. Next question in the lineup. At David Valentin at DB Orlando. So David Valentin, what is the goal for the playoffs? Sit down, Jim Moore, or get better for next season? So
playoffs. Sit down.
Get ready for next season. All right, sorry. I did a terrible job at reading this question, but does the team want to make the playoffs, or is the goal to invest in some long-term development, even if it costs you playoff positioning, so that you're ready for next year?
No, I think they're definitely working on player development and things like that, but the goal is still the playoffs. It's always been the playoffs. The coaching change was made because they want to make the playoffs. Everything that has ever come out of the mouths of upper management and ownership in Orlando City has been playoffs. Jason Kreis knows that's the goal of playoffs. But I did ask, and it's not the end of the world, and they're not going to make any drastic changes if they don't make the playoffs. And they're very focused. I can tell that Kreis is wheels are turning about what he's going to do with the team in the offseason and changes that he's going to make and looking at different options. But playoffs are definitely still the goal.
All right. Next question we have in the queue, Ian F. at IF in ORL. Kreis wants to improve match fitness, but increased training in the middle of the season could backfire. Has he discussed this? So sort of touched on it post-game immediately.
He discussed immediately post-game, like you said, saying that they looked fatigued. He also discussed it in more in depth today. He said that it's kind of a balance between fitness and freshness. That was his verb. It's fitness versus freshness right now. And ideally, he said, you want the team fresh and ready to go 100% for every match, but it's not an ideal world right now, and they're trying to teach them a lot of things and implement a lot of new things, and that's going to take away from their freshness every game, and they're willing to sacrifice that right now so that a few weeks down the road, they're going to have a more fit team, a more organized team, a team that's all on the same page, and then they can focus on making sure that they're fresh and healthy and things like that. So we just hopefully it goes the way that he's hoping it will, and doesn't backfire too much more than we saw on Sunday in terms of fatigue and player injury and things like that.
All right, so it's interesting. It is a tough balancing act in his defense. You're trying to install a whole bunch of different things, and not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. Yeah. So we're coming to the end of our at OS Lions queue of questions. So we're going to see if anybody sent any stoppage time questions in so far. Anyone? Looks like we do have one comment on you sharing the Twitter Q&A link. Let's go ahead and click on that one, see if we can pull it up for our tech staff, if we can retweet it.
Let me see.
So if you click here on the Twitter Q&A thing.
Tactical question.
All right, so
fill in with some music here.
We're very excited. We're very excited about just getting the questions in. So bear with me. Facebook Live also is playing in the background of my phone despite my best efforts, but I still want to get this question in. There's no question. You're just saying playoffs are bust and that Hines is so slow. Okay, so Facebook Live fans would like to know about why so much support for Hines since he is so slow, supposedly. Thoughts on Seb Hines? You've spoken in defense of him, and
I
the
did.
fans have responded.
Well,
He's
let
slow.
me say, you know, he was getting over a knee injury that happened, so that's part of it. But I did say there are some issues. He makes mistakes, but he's so dangerous with his head on corner kicks. There's no one else on the back line that has the positioning that he has to be as dangerous with his headers. So
all right, I love the forgiveness of Aurelian Collin, though, as though he never made any mistakes himself, nor never got any cards. No, he's already had issues with his new team. So I love Aurelian Collin. We love his support. But, you know, there are a lot of players that they're working through, you know, just adjusting, adapting, new system. And I think the new coaching staff doesn't strike me as the type that's going to not hold people accountable.
Yeah.
So I think it will be reflected in the lineup.
And perhaps Seb can be one of the main beneficiaries of all the fitness that they're talking about.
He might not be as slow.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, so we did retweet one extra question. I think we've got one here from Orlando City SC Brazil. Thank you again. Tactical question. Every time our defense gets pressured, we lose the ball by kicking it upfield. Kaká should be dropping.
Wait, go to the next one because it continues.
Part 2 of our question. Kaká should be dropping back to help the defense. Is there a reason Christ leaves him upfield until Notarino gets subbed?
I'm not sure I really see this all the time, but Kaká they've made it clear that his goal and where they want him playing is further upfield this season. They feel like that's where he can be the most dangerous, and they don't want him dropping back too far. They think that the defensive midfield should be able to handle that, and the back four, and that Kaká should be staying up closer to Kyle Larin rather than closer to the defense. So that's the goal, and I think when the formation works and when everyone is playing the way that they should be playing, that gives them the best opportunity to score. And Kaká is very dangerous and can be really creative, especially with Kevin Molino and Kyle Larin when they're all playing forward like that. But as I said, that's when everyone else is playing the way they should be.
All right, so we'll get a chance possibly to see you with Tommy back. That should help a little bit. I will say, even though they came out of the gates with a 3-1 win in his first MLS game, I don't think we've really seen Christ's true formation in action, or we haven't seen them hit the ideal of what he's looking for. So I think critiquing tactics right now, it's a little early.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a wrap for the questions and the Facebook Live comments. I appreciate those. Feel free to send more specific questions in the future. You can also send questions to @OSLions. You can send them early in the week. You can send them late in the week. We'll be looking out for them. Happy to answer them. And then we'll be doing this show scheduled for Tuesday at 3:30 next week. We generally do every Tuesday, and if we are moving it, you can always check @OSLions. There will always be an update there for you, letting you know when it's going to be happening. All right, so let's look ahead to the week ahead. So we've got Orlando City.
Chicago.
How are you feeling about Orlando City at Chicago? Thoughts on this matchup?
If they don't get 3 points from this matchup, then there's something to be concerned about, I think. Going against last place Chicago, if you want to make a playoff push, this is the place to get your 3 points. I think everyone knows that. Everybody's feeling confident, but at the same time, as they always say, not underestimating the underdogs at all, preparing well for them. It'll be huge if they were to be able to return Redding, Ramos, and Molino for this game. It would just be an even bigger boost for them. But if they drop this game against Chicago, then there's legitimate concerns.
Yeah, I think that's when we can start to see some significant lineup shuffling and maybe some different changes. It's a good opportunity to, if Molino is out, see who else steps in, see who else is willing to move into those roles. I would suggest that Redding sounds like he's going to be back, so that shores up one key question. And Kevin can't be the only one that you're counting on to be upfield to really help with that dynamic flow of the attack. So there's got to be some other players who can step in if needed, and I agree. You got to go get that. Orlando Pride, what do you think that they're going to be working on during this stretch? I mean, obviously, we've talked a little bit about potential player acquisition, but what do you think the focus of training is going to be for them?
I mean, I think it's just they're really going to try to play, I guess, tighter, less mistakes, more trying to create more. I know it's difficult when you lose someone like Alex Morgan and you lose, half of your back line, but they really need to create more and have people step up on a regular basis like Kristen Edmonds has.
All right, so it'll be interesting to see. This is a big stretch for them because I think you can expect if the U.S. women win a gold medal, as we think there's an excellent chance that they could, that some of those U.S. players may not necessarily be back for that first game after the Olympics. And depending on health and how far the other teams go, you never know who's going to be out for that next game. So the pressure's still on the Pride players to make the most of these training opportunities, get themselves into shape, and make sure that they're ready so that they don't miss on an opportunity for a playoff push, because you can't necessarily count on all the Olympians being back in time afterward.
Yeah, Tom actually said, if the Australians win, there's already a plan in place that they would go back to Australia for a celebration for a few days, so they would definitely miss that initial match afterwards. Same, the U.S. players likely as well. So if they were to miss that first game, which it sounds like it's possible and probable,
someone will.
They would definitely be back for the following one.
All right, so it'll be very interesting to see as they continue to quietly develop. And we didn't touch on it, but OCB's been looking really good.
Yeah.
After a rough start to the season, it's been a strong push for this team. It's been a combination of figuring out how to be a developmental squad while also still staying very competitive. And that team is continuing to stock talent for Orlando City, be a place where people can get healthy, and now also as being successful in USL, there's really not much more you can ask of them. So it'll be interesting to continue monitoring their progress. All right. All things Orlando City. Keep following Alicia DelGallo at OS Lions, at OS Alicia D. She's going to be in Chicago. Very excited to see her updates from there. And we look forward to answering your questions again next week. I'm Iliana Limon-Romero, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.